SANParks is a government conservation authority with a mandate to conserve, protect, control, and manage national parks and their biodiversity. Veterinary Wildlife Services form part of Conservation Services Department in SANParks and is responsible for wildlife capture and translocation. The VWS Biobank in Kruger is in Mpumalanga Province in the Kruger National Park, Skukuza. This unique and biodiverse environment of free-roaming wildlife offers a perfect opportunity to collect valuable samples. The aim of VWS is reintroducing populations, enhance conservation status of species, generate revenue through wildlife sales, and coordinate research on wildlife diseases. The implementation of these aims provide an ideal situation to collect opportunistic samples. This opportunity of taking samples started about 23 years ago, and in this time it has developed and transformed to be what it is today. Although as much as we want to standardize things in a biobank, one must be flexible due to organizational and environmental changes, researchers' requirements, and scientific involvement. In Skukuza, we have 4 laboratories available for researchers to use and for our own needs in processing, banking, and retrieving samples. In VetLab 1, Zindle Manda, a biobank technician employed on the BBSA program, currently working hard at allocating samples for a researcher. In VetLab 2, Intimate Chongwe, a veterinary research intern, is busy sorting and organizing hair samples. In VetLab 3, Tebogo Manamela, a veterinary technologist of SANParks, is receiving and biobanking new samples. A few years ago, we were lucky enough to have a donation by the SANParks Honorary Rangers program convert a necropsy hall into a modern, isolated biobank building. Liana Fraser investigating some archived samples from the biobank. The biobank building is currently housing 10 ultra-low freezers. 8 of these freezers are used for the SANParks Biobank, storing 81,802 blood, 490 bronchoalveolar lavage, and 1,193 tick samples. All samples collected from up to 55 different species. The facility also has a -20 walk-in freezer storing 1,640 fecal samples representing 22 different species. The skin and formalin samples are archived in a separate storeroom. There are 7,981 skin samples stored at room temperature, preserved in 20% DMSO solution saturated with salt. The collection represents 54 different species. The tissue storage has 411 sample sets stored from 36 different species, kept in 10% formalin and organized per year. Hair samples are collected with follicles and stored at room temperature in envelopes. In the collection, we have 8,003 hair samples from 36 different species. Blood smear samples are made from the whole blood EDTA sample. 2 blood smears are prepared. One is fixed with methanol and stored. The other smear is stained with Diffquick. SANParks manages a system of 20 functional national parks in 7 of the 9 provinces of South Africa, with a total area of over 4 million hectares. To provide the same veterinary service in the southern parts of South Africa, BWS is also situated in the Northern Cape province in Kimberley. Kimberley VWS interact with a variety of unique animals. And therefore in 2012, Kimberley VWS started their own biobank facility.
Generate revenue for SANParks through wildlife sales, building capacity in veterinary and wildlife capture fields, particularly in persons from historically disadvantaged population groups. My name is Lindiwe Mkabela, and I'm a veterinary technologist in charge of the laboratory and biobank. I have been working at SANParks Biobank in Kimberley for 4.5 years. Our standard sample collection consists of blood, which is from EDTA, serum and heparin blood tubes. Then there is hair or feathers with the follicles, tissue, ticks and horn shavings form part of our sample kit. The samples are used in disease management that includes TB, African horse sickness, and African swine fever. Besides sending the samples to researchers for their projects, we also send forensic samples to OVI and National Zoo Gardens for genetic hybridization. Histopathology samples are collected and placed in formalin, and this is done only when there is a post-mortem performed.